Bless you. Now, before we get started, are there any questions on any of the assignments thus far? You'll go with all the homework assignments so far? All right. 2.4, we're finding the equation of a parabola. Now, they're going to give it some information for us to be able to find it. It's going to come in one of two forms, either in vertex form or x-intercept form. And if it gives us the vertex in a point, we're going to use vertex form. If it gives us the x-intercepts in a point, we're going to use x-intercept form. Now, I labeled the point as x3, y3. That's because technically we can say the two x-intercepts are x1, 0 and x2, 0, or we can call them p and q. But we're going to use one of these two forms. Now, if we look at the first one, example 1 tells us that the vertex is the point 3, 2, and it passes through the point 13, 8. Now, will we use the vertex form or x-intercept form? Vertex form, because it gave us the So for this here, if we're given vertex in a point, we're going to use y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. Now the vertex is the point h comma k. And to find the equation, we need the value of h, we need the value of k, and we need the value of a. In this case, a. So we're not using the 1 over 4p in this case. Now for us here, well, with p, the p value helps us find the directrix in focus. So we're not looking for directrix or focus, so we will use this version here. So we'll still have a, but our h value is, and our k value is 2. Goes from the vertex, h comma k, 3 comma 2. We'll get to the other point here in a minute. So I plugged in h and k. So the only thing we're missing is the value of a. Now, once we get the value of a, we'll have the whole equation. Any questions up to this point so far? Now, the only piece of information they gave us that we haven't used yet is that it passes through the point 13, 8. What that's telling us is when the x value of this parabola is 13, the y value is 8. So what it's saying that whatever the a value is, when I plug 13 in for x into this equation, the y value will be 8. So for these here, I'm going to plug in the point 13, 8. 13 in for x, 8 in for y. They're corresponding spots. Well, how many variables do I have left in this equation? A. Solve for a. Well, we can simplify what's inside the parentheses first. 13 minus 3 is 10 squared. Well, 10 squared is, because 10 times 10 is 100. So we have 100a plus 2. So we need a by itself. So we want to subtract 2 first. Now, minusing or dividing by 100 is not wrong. We would have to divide the 8, 100a, and the 2 by 100. Yes. Now, the last thing we need to do is divide both sides by 100. Telling us a is, well, we could plug this into the calculator. 6 over 100 is. As long as it is the correct decimal. So the correct answer is y equals 3 over 50 times x minus 3 squared plus 2. And that's it. Questions on this here? We ready for the next one? Let's see what they gave us. They told us the vertex is the point negative 5, 9, and it passes through the point negative 7, negative 15. So we're going to still use vertex form because it gave us the vertex and a point. Now the vertex does give us our h and k value because we need to know the value of h, k, and a. So what is the value of h? And the value of k is 9. So we'd have x minus 5 squared plus 9. Well, our negative is going to make a plus. But the last thing we need to find is the value of a. Because once we find the value of a, we have the equation and we are finished with this problem here. And to find the value of a, we're going to use the point they gave us, plug it in for x and y, then solve for the value of a. Because equals y, so our y value will be negative 15, our x value is negative 7, and we get this here. Now we can do negative 7 plus 5 first, which is negative 2 squared. Well, negative 2 squared is 4. And then we put it in front of the a for a because negative 2 squared is 4. Then we would indeed subtract 9 from both sides. Negative 24. And then we would divide by 4, telling us a is 6 is almost right. Because negative 24 divided by 4 would be negative 6. It would be positive 6 if we had been dividing by negative 4. Questions on this here? Questions on any of this so far? We ready for the next one? X-intercepts are negative 7 and negative 3 and passes through the point negative 2, comma 0.05. Which form will we use? X-intercept, because it said that we're dealing with the x-intercept. So y equals a times x minus p times x minus q. So this time we're looking for the values of p, q, and a. What are the values of p and q? One of them is going to be negative 7, the other is going to be negative 3. Now the other way we could have written x-intercepts is as a point, because the y value at the x-intercept is always 0. Because an x-intercept is where it crosses the x-axis, and the y value at the x-axis is always 0. Now we could fill this information in, saying y is equal to a times x minus negative 7 times x minus negative 3. Well, our negative and negative would make a plus. Questions on how we found P and Q? we need to define next? A, yes? Now it seems like because now we're doing a different form, we need to do a different method for finding A, but it's the exact same because we're still going to use the point, negative 2 comma 0.05. I'm going to replace y with its value of 0.05 equals A times, and every x is going to be replaced with negative 2. Now we can simplify these here. Negative 2 plus 7 is 5, 1, and we will get 0.05 because negative 2 plus 7 is 5, negative 2 plus 3 is 1, 5 times 1 is 5 times A is indeed 5A. What do we need to do next? We need to divide everything by 5. Which tells us A is 0.01 or 1 over 100. Yep. You just need to pick which one you want to use. Either one of them will work. We just have to pick one of them. Questions on any of this here? Questions on anything we've done so far? We're ready for the next one. So we have the points negative 16, 0, negative 2, 0, and passes through the point negative 18, 72. Do we use vertex form or x-intercept form? Is negative 16, 0, negative 2, 0, are they the vertex or the x-intercepts?
They're x-intercepts.
The x-intercept. Because the y value's 0, yes? But if we look for this here, especially since we're given a point it's going through, for vertex, how many points are we given for, or if we're using vertex form? Because we're given the vertex and a point, yes? So total we're given. For x-intercept form, how many points are we given total? Well, 2 for the intercepts and a point, we give a total of 3. So for x-intercept form, we should have 3 points. Well, here we have 3. We have the 2 intercepts and point. Because this here is our p comma 0 and q comma 0 and our point. So y is equal to a times x minus p times x minus q. So for this here, this problem, what's our value of p and q? Negative 16, negative 2. Does it matter which one I label as p and which one is q? No, we got to label one as each. So we're saying y is equal to a times x minus negative 16 times x minus negative 2. We do have to adjust our negatives to plus. Will p and q always be negative? No, they could be positive, they could be negative. We could have one of each. But the last thing we need to find is the value of, and we can use this point. So we'll replace y with 72. Thank you. So we'll say negative 18 plus 16 times negative 18 plus 2. And see what we get. I'm going to show you this in 2 different ways. So one, we can do this step by step. So the first thing we would do is negative 18 plus 16, which is, and negative 18 plus 2 is. And if we multiply this out, we should get 32a, yes? than we would. Does 32 go into 72 evenly? No. 9/4. Questions on this here? Now, this is part of the problem we did on the last one that we calculated out, yes? I could have typed that part in, and it would have told us it's 32. I can't type in the A because it's a variable, and for every single calculator, we do have X here, but it's set to be 0. Variables in both the calculators need a value. Now it's 1. But again, the calculator needs a value for it. So it doesn't see it as X. Now it sees that X variable as having a value of. It needs a value for it. It can't just treat it like a variable. So if I want to use a variable for this, 9/4, I have to tell the calculator what it is. So now X is, I have to set it. But I could plug the rest of that in because it's all multiplied together. We can simplify that. Questions on this here? Questions on anything we've done so far? Do we need to see another one of these? So what are we told? Is negative 114 and passes through the point 635, yes? Which one do we use? So we need H, K, and A. So what are H and K? So we're saying Y equals A times X minus negative 1 squared plus. Well, negative would make A. Now we need to find the value of A. So we need to calculate this out. Now, if we want to use the calculator to save us a step, we can do the 6 plus 1 squared. So I can grab the calculator, parentheses 6 plus 1, close parentheses squared, and get 49. Because if we did this by hand, well, we would do 6 plus 1, which is 7 squared. Well, 7 squared is, we'd still have the A, so it'd be 49A plus 14. So 49A is equal to 21. And last but not least, we would divide both sides by 49, telling us A is we agree with 3/7. So Y equals 3/7 times X plus 1 squared plus 14. Questions on this here? Example 6, this is the last one. So what are the values? Well, we have x-intercept, yes? So we use times x minus q because we have x-intercept form, yes? What's the value of p and q? So we have y equals a times x minus 9 times x minus 1. Now the only thing we're missing is the a value. But we do have a point. So we plug in our point. We're plugging in negative 18 for y and 0 for x. Now we can simplify these. 0 minus 9 is negative 9. 0 minus 1 is negative 1. And negative 9 times negative 1, positive 9a. Almost. Yes, negative 2. So y equals negative 2 times x minus 9 times x minus 1. Questions on these here? We're ready for the next part. You're welcome.